They don't post numbers. They don't flaunt trips or expensive handbags. They don't need to say they're rich, because their energy already says it all. They live with ease, decide with clarity, and most importantly, they've built habits that ensure money keeps flowing. Without drama, without shouting, without desperation. I've observed these women for a long time, lived with them, studied them, worked alongside them. And today, I'll show you the 7 most common habits of quietly wealthy women, the ones who build assets, freedom, and peace, without needing to prove anything to anyone. If you want to start living with this level of financial awareness and elegance, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. This content will shift the way you think about money and about yourself. Habit 1. They manage money as calmly as they manage their home, without drama, fear, or obsession. Quietly wealthy women don't yell at money. They don't swing between extremes, neither obsessive frugality nor emotional spending. They treat money as part of everyday life, like doing the dishes, changing the sheets, or organizing the closet. They check their bank statements regularly, but without anxiety. They know exactly how much they earn and spend, but don't suffocate under spreadsheets. They organize, allocate, distribute, with ease. And above all, they talk about money naturally. Once, sitting at a cafe, one of them told me, "If you panic just by looking at your bank account, you're telling money, it's not safe to stay here." These women built a mature, steady, and clean relationship with money. That stuck with me. They don't wait for a crisis to get organized. They don't wait for leftovers to start investing. They don't wait for miracles to change their posture. They have the habit of caring, and that care is what sustains quiet abundance. Because those who treat money as chaos live in imbalance, but those who treat it with respect and consistency turn it into a long-term partner. Now tell me in the comments, what's your biggest struggle when it comes to money, and what new habit do you want to create? Write it down. Name it. That already starts to shift your energy around it. Habit 2. They stand their ground, even when the topic isn't money. Quietly wealthy women don't need to raise their voice to be heard. They have a kind of presence that commands respect, without asking for permission. And what does that have to do with money? Everything. Because wealth isn't just about what's in your account. It's about how you position yourself, in a negotiation, in a relationship, in a work meeting, or even in a moment of conflict. They say no with elegance. They say yes with responsibility. And above all, they know that every time they go silent out of fear, they're giving up their own power. Once I watched one of them being pressured to accept a deal below her value. She listened calmly and replied, "I don't work under emotional urgency. When you're ready to talk real value, we can talk." No shouting, no putting anyone down, but also not putting herself down either. This habit changes everything, because those who don't stand firm end up trying to compensate later, with double the effort, drained energy, and poor decisions. Quietly wealthy women aren't afraid of being seen as difficult. They know money follows those who act like owners, not like guests. Habit 3. They know exactly what they want to sustain, and don't get distracted by things that only impress. Quietly wealthy women don't live to prove anything to anyone. They don't make impulsive purchases just to post on Instagram. They don't choose the car, the handbag, or the restaurant to look good, but because it makes sense to them. And that clarity doesn't come by chance. It comes from a constant practice of asking, does this bring me closer to or further from the life I want to build? Am I buying this for me or to be seen? Is this rooted or just vanity disguised as achievement? One of them once told me something I'll never forget. I've never bought an expensive bag for status, but I bought stocks, property, and emotional freedom without anyone noticing, and that's what made me rich. While many chase validation, these women chase alignment. They know where they want to live, how they want to live, how much they want to save, and what kind of lifestyle they want to sustain in 5, 10, 20 years. That's why they're not distracted by temporary sparkle, because they already see the quiet solidity of what they're building. Those who live to impress stray from independence, but those who live with intention attract wealth with consistency. Habit 4. They treat their own name as an asset and act with invisible responsibility. Quietly wealthy women understand something most people realize too late. Credit is trust. A name is an asset. Reputation is long-term money. They treat their name like a brand. They pay what they owe. They keep their promises. They don't get involved in drama. And most importantly, they don't risk their name out of haste or vanity. It's not about being perfect. It's about being trustworthy. One of them once told me, "I only built everything I have because my name carries weight." And that weight was built in silence, through small ethical choices, every single day. And this habit shows up in many ways. They don't delay payments without reason. They don't mix money with chaos. They don't rely on shortcuts to get what they want. And when they make mistakes, they own them and handle things with maturity. That's why they get loans with lower interest rates, better partnerships, more solid contracts, and opportunities that don't show up for those always trying to find a way. A solid reputation is invisible wealth, and these women know that keeping their name clean is worth more than any temporary show of status. Habit 5. They protect their peace as a priority, and don't let other people's urgency become their own. Quietly wealthy women don't live in a rush. They don't live on high alert. And they definitely don't live reacting to other people's chaos. They possess something no amount of money can buy: emotional sovereignty. They know how to say no without guilt. They know how to walk away from draining groups, deals, or cycles. They know peace is an asset, not a luxury, and they have the habit of making decisions calmly, even when the world is screaming for urgency. Once, I saw one of them being pressured to sign a contract. If you don't sign today, the opportunity's gone. She smiled and said, "If it's only good today, then it's not for me. I only sign what I can uphold in peace." That taught me more about wealth than any book. These women don't confuse urgency with importance. They know what is truly a priority, what's just an emotional trigger disguised as an opportunity, and what is simply noise trying to create instability. And because they protect their peace so firmly, they're able to keep clarity, to decide better, negotiate smarter, and create with more power. Because where there's peace, there's space for growth. And where there's space, money flows more easily. Habit 6. They never stop learning, but they choose carefully what and with whom they learn. Quietly wealthy women aren't the ones who know it all. They're the ones who keep learning, and learn well. They're hungry for knowledge, but they don't consume everything the internet throws at them. They don't buy every course just because it's trending. And they don't follow every guru who shouts the loudest. They're surgical with their choices. They study what aligns with what they want to build. They learn from those who live what they teach, not just speak well. They value the time they invest in content as if it were money. And most importantly, they apply what they learn. One of them once told me, "Most people collect knowledge like stickers. I only study what I'm ready to turn into action." That phrase became my filter. Because there's no point studying abundance with a mind full of fear. No point taking a finance course if you never look at your bank statement. No point reading 10 books if none of them transform you inside. Rich women study to grow, not to distract themselves. They study to apply, not to hide. And that's why they grow in a steady and quiet way. Habit 7. They make money move with intention. They don't hold it out of fear or spend it out of lack. Quietly wealthy women have a free and conscious relationship with money. They're not attached, but they don't waste it either. They know exactly what they're doing when they move every cent. While many people hold on to money out of fear, and block the flow, or spend impulsively, and regret it later, these women choose with intention. They ask themselves, does this bring me closer to the life I want? Is this a choice based on love or on lack? Does this honor what I've built and what I want to sustain? They invest with clarity. Meaningful gifts, courses that expand them, experiences that elevate. But they also know how not to spend when the desire is just to fill a void. One of them told me something simple yet powerful. Wealth isn't about how much you have. It's the calm you feel when money goes out and comes back. And it's true, they make money move like an ally. Not a prize, not an enemy. They don't hold out of scarcity. They don't spend out of anxiety. And they know money that's held back out of fear dies. Money that moves with consciousness thrives. That's why their accounts never stall. Because they don't just receive money, they converse with it. They don't shout. They don't flaunt. And often they go unnoticed. But they're the ones with stability, freedom, peace. Because they built wealth in a solid, intentional, and quiet way. Today, you've discovered the 7 most consistent habits of these women. These habits don't depend on luck, and none of them require you to already have money to start. They only require posture, presence, and choice. Now comment below, which of these habits are you going to adopt first? Talk to me. Your comment might inspire another woman on the same path. If this video gave you clarity, like it now, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who has everything it takes to grow. She just needs to adjust her mindset. Because being truly rich isn't about noise. It's about structure. And every structure begins with a habit and a decision.